Well, 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 what a final segment to Monday Night Raw we have just had. Randy Orton left laying flat out in the middle of the ring, and John Cena standing tall with the authority by his side. That's right, John Cena standing with Triple H and Stephanie McMahon. Is that heel turn just getting a little bit closer to becoming the real deal? Probably not, but it was a great way to end Monday Night Raw, and this was again, just like last week, a fantastic final segment. I really enjoyed this, and I hope this is the way that WWE is going in the future because everything just feels right. It feels like the good old days of wrestling. Proper promos. So guys, what we're going to do in this episode is we're going to cover the final section and the final segment of Monday Night Raw. So basically, things kicked off with Triple H, Stephanie McMahon coming out to the ring with an array of former WWE and World Heavyweight Champions, the likes of Hall of Famers of Bret the Hitman Hart, Shawn Michaels, Mick Foley, and then current day superstars which have been champions, CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, and the crowd was seriously hot for Daniel Bryan, and Dolph Ziggler, the likes of these superstars in the ring. It was an array of talent which Triple H and Stephanie McMahon came out to. Now, Triple H and Stephanie do their job of building up the titles, and that is where these historical superstars came into action because the way they wanted to put it over was the prestige of both belts, and the likes of Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, Mick Foley, CM Punk, Daniel Bryan have all held these titles in some shape or form, and some of them have held both the titles at the same time. Now this is where the first promo, Triple H and Stephanie, gets very interesting because the camera angle for the whole of this promo is sort of tilted towards the side of Triple H, and just out the side of Triple H you can see a very interested looking CM Punk. Because when Stephanie is introducing Triple H, she goes on, like she did last week, to overhype Triple H. She's saying that he is the greatest WWE champion, one of the very best World Heavyweight Champions. In fact, he is the greatest champion in the history of the WWE Universe. And just out of the corner, the way the camera's been positioned, you can see CM Punk sniggering away, laughing, pulling faces behind Triple H's back. It's almost as if CM Punk is trolling Triple H in this segment. So this was very nicely done, and you've got to feel that the heat is building between Triple H and CM Punk right now, and they are working this angle. Something is going to happen later on down the line between Punk and Helmsley. That has got to happen, and later on in this segment, something else adds fuel to the fire to pretty much cement that a feud is coming between Triple H, the Game, and the best in the world, CM Punk. So Triple H does his business. He puts over both titles and says, obviously, we will be unifying the belts, once again being drilled into our skulls, and then the champions are introduced. First comes out Randy Orton, the Viper, the WWE Champion, and then second it is John Cena, the World Heavyweight Champion, who comes out to a mixed reaction as per usual. The man that's most over in this segment is neither of the two combatants this Sunday at TLC, but Daniel Bryan. I believe it was in his hometown, and throughout Triple H's promo, all you can hear is Daniel Bryan chants and yes, yes, yes. But luckily enough, Triple H does decide to acknowledge this, and Daniel Bryan is acknowledged a little bit more in John Cena's promo later on. So the two combatants come out to the ring, they stand toe to toe, and it's Randy Orton up first. And Orton's promo, once again, just like last week, doesn't disappoint. Orton's promo, it felt like both promos, in fact, were focused for certain generations in the WWE, because Randy Orton's promo focuses on the past and the Hall of Famers, and then I'll cover what John Cena's promo focused towards in a moment. But Orton goes on to talk about the likes of Mick Foley and how Randy Orton had shortened his career when he had met him and faced him all those years ago. Then he goes on to talk about Shawn Michaels and when their paths crossed, and that on multiple occasions he took down HBK. Then he takes a final parting shot at the Montreal Screwjob and mentions that if Randy Orton had been around in that heyday, then the Screwjob wouldn't have even happened because he would have took out Bret Hart as well. This was a real nod and a tip towards the Hall of Famers that were standing in the ring, the older generation. Orton's promo was looking at that side, and that makes sense because Orton is from a generation of wrestling and, he's come from a wrestling family. So this sort of made a lot of sense. There's a lot of, for me personally, the promos that were cut tonight sort of made sense in terms of history as well. Now, after Randy Orton talked about the Hall of Famers and put himself over, then he goes on to talk about John Cena. And he talks about the fact that Cena, when he first came into the WWE, he had that ruthless aggression, also acknowledging an error. John Cena, the Doctor of Thugonomics, had a passion and an aggression where he would have taken someone out back in the day. But now, if he had that aggression, it feels like he has lost it over the years. Because if he did have that aggression, then Randy Orton wouldn't be standing in the ring right now, because he would have took Randy Orton out last week when he put him through those two tables. So it was really nice to see that Orton was acknowledging how John Cena's character has developed from becoming in as the Doctor of Thugonomics and now coming up to present, because it was almost like it was implying that John Cena is a shadow of his former self. And I have to agree, he's absolutely spot on, because some of us remember back in the day a John Cena that is almost like it's a mystery how he got to the Cena that he is today. So all in all, Orton's promo for me, again, spot on, fantastic job. Orton feels like he's really in the zone and he's actually producing some of his best work at the moment. So the mic is passed over to John Cena and I'm thinking, oh my God, not like last week, don't spoil this Cena. And guess what? I'm pleasantly surprised. Now, John Cena does go to take a cheap move during this promo, but all in all, Cena stepped up to the plate and he also nailed it down to the table, because Cena also felt like he was in the zone this week. It wasn't that childish acting that Cena's done in the past. This was more of a hardcore promo. This built the TLC pay-per-view. Now, don't get me wrong, Cena definitely went for a cheap move because he brought Daniel Bryan into his promo, but this makes sense in terms of the way that the promos were structured. As I said, Orton looked towards the older generation and Cena is looking towards the youth and the future, because Cena first brings in Daniel Bryan and he says to Randy Orton, you're a guy that has been given it all on a plate by the WWE. You're a guy that came from a wrestling background. You were born into this industry and you've just had it easy. And then we have a guy here like Daniel Bryan. And then he goes on to quiz Daniel Bryan about his past and his career and whether or not he had anyone in his family who's come from a wrestling background. And Daniel Bryan pretty much plays the fool and says, no, I don't. In fact, it's all because of my own hard work. I've got here from hard graft and dedication. And this was the theme of Cena's promo. He went on to acknowledge the likes of Dolph Ziggler, CM Punk, and the fact that John Cena had given these guys their title shots. John Cena had been putting over the younger talent. This is what Daniel Bryan and guys like CM Punk needed. They needed someone like Cena to put them forward. This is something that Randy Orton will never do. So after Cena had covered the future of the WWE, and he did a pretty good job of it, then he offers his hand out, extended, to Randy Orton, and he leaves Randy Orton with a bit of a parting shot. And what John Cena says is, Randy, the one thing that must not come out of this pay-per-view. If you lose, we just don't want to hear another Randy Orton excuse. Almost implying that Randy Orton's career, his entire career, has been full of excuses, and he's always underachieved, and he's never stood up to the potential that somebody from a wrestling family, a wrestling background like Randy Orton's, should have fulfilled. And that is just one step too far, because as Triple H signals for the belts to go up and hang above the ring, and these guys just shake hands, then the fisticuffs start flying and Orton throws first. And this is where this segment just gets even better. So we've had an epic build, a fantastic promo from the combatants, and then all hell breaks loose as Orton sends the first punch, John Cena retaliates, and then they are pulled apart by the legends and superstars which are in the ring. Now at this point, anything can happen, and Punk is on the side of Orton. He has pulled Orton to one side, and this is where Randy Orton decides to take a cheap shot at CM Punk. So what does Punk do? Obviously he retaliates, and at this point Triple H is feeling pretty hacked off, and then here comes the game. The game comes flying over and literally wipes out CM Punk, sends him absolutely flying across the ring. As he does this, he starts having a go at Randy Orton, trying to settle it down, trying to calm the situation because it's got out of control. The COO wants to get things settled again. At this point, a very unhappy CM Punk is standing behind Triple H. And as Triple H turns round, boom, CM Punk nails him. But as CM Punk nails him, he turns around and boom, gets nailed with a super kick right to the jaw. Holy hell, what can happen next? Shawn Michaels turns around and boom, gets nailed with a double knee from Daniel Bryan. All this time, Randy Orton has regained his composure and he's coiled. The Viper is ready to strike as he's lining up an RKO on Daniel Bryan. But as he goes to do it, he gets caught. And he stumbles backwards and sends Stephanie McMahon flying to the mat. At this point, there's a bit of a moment where everybody in the ring is like, what did you do? What have you done? Even Cena is looking on in amazement. But not the game. The game is just pissed. And the game, boot to the midsection, pedigree to Randy Orton, the face of the WWE, drilled into the mat. And this is where we've gone full circle on this video, because we're back from what I started with Randy Orton left face down in the middle of the ring, and John Cena standing with Triple H and Stephanie McMahon and the Authority side by side, looking down at Randy Orton. And it's almost as if there's realization from Orton. These guys aren't on my side. These guys aren't backing me. What the hell am I going to do at TLC? I don't have any support. And it's almost as if Orton can now see the doubt of what's going on. And what's even more amazing is the camera angle as it stands with Triple H, Stephanie, Kane, and John Cena. It's almost like you're looking at the next corporate champion, John Cena. And Orton has been well and truly stitched up. The cracks have appeared in the Authority and the relationship between Randy Orton. Will John Cena turn heel, or will John Cena just become the corporate champion because Triple H has had enough of the Viper? Now, the only other scenario, and it's been talked about a little bit, I've talked about it with a few of my friends, is that neither of these guys are going to walk out the Undisputed Champion. And it is in fact Triple H, the Game, that walks out as the Undisputed Champion, as he's had enough of not only the face of WWE, Randy Orton, but he doesn't want John Cena to win the belt either. So at some point, when both of these men are on the mat, he will take down both championship belts, and then that could lead to his feud with CM Punk. All in all, I am very excited about this Sunday's pay-per-view, and I will be watching live, so be sure to follow me at Delzinski via Twitter and you'll be able to interact with me during this pay-per-view. I literally have no idea what the outcome's going to be. It has been a fantastic build-up, and this final section of Raw, this final segment, really did cement that the WWE is doing something right at the moment. They have built this final match perfectly going into this Sunday. I can't wait to see what happens, and guys, as I say, please join me on Sunday on Twitter for this pay-per-view. Tables, ladders and chairs between the WWE Champion Randy Orton and the World Heavyweight Champion John Cena to crown a undisputed champion. So guys, until then, until Sunday, please rate, comment and subscribe and let me know your opinions of what's going to go down at TLC. This is Delzinski, signing out.